It will make it easier for the authorities to deal with those kinds of offences. Thank you.
Ko Claudette Hauiti.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. This bill sets out to better protect our special places and species by increasing penalties for non-compliance with laws administered by the Department of Conservation. It also implements a consistent approach to penalties across the amended laws. The bill proposes serious consequences for serious offending against our natural heritage. The bill proposes bigger fines, longer jail sentences for people who endanger our wildlife or damage our protected natural habitats, including theft and smuggling of our taonga. We have had theft and smuggling of our beautiful resources this year, last year, but in previous centuries we have had mass smuggling and theft of our taonga. Can you imagine, Mr Speaker, standing in a room this size at Australia Museum and seeing on the shelves our taonga? Beautiful taxidermied weka. Rows and rows of weka. Can you imagine looking on these shelves and seeing taxidermied, beautiful takahe? Rows upon rows of them in the museum. Can you imagine reaching out and touching the feathers of tiwai waka and touching the feathers of kiwi? Because that's what happened to our taonga centuries ago. The theft and smuggling because they could. This bill ensures that they now do not. Our flora and fauna is an important part of New Zealand's culture and our heritage. We need to protect ourselves, our species and special places for future generations. And what that means is this bill is a kaitiaki of those tamariki within Tāne Mahuta and those that fly between Tāne Mahuta and Tāwhirimatea. We're continuing to improve the environment and build a cleaner, greener, brighter future for all New Zealanders. And it was heartening to see the Tūhoi settlement come into the House today, Mr Speaker, and have the members here talk about their relationship with Te Urawera. No more special a place than Te Urawera. Within those boundaries and upon that whenua, we have our taonga, our beautiful flora and fauna. And within those boundaries as well too, we also have the patupaere here. These are those beautiful taonga that live within those reaches of Tāne Mahuta. This bill will protect those stories and those pūrākau around our taonga. Those like the gecko, I hear my colleagues talking about the beautiful gecko. We know them as mokomoko. We also know that a lot of our tattoos, our tāmoko, are based on the designs of our moko. And our tattoos, our moko, are also named after the god of earthquakes, Ruau Moko. And it's the rivets within the landscape that when he moves and tosses and turns and breaks up the landscape, are also the rivets and turns upon the backs of our mokomoko and our tuatara. So this bill not only protects the physical, but it also entrenches in law what we know to be our spiritual taonga associated with our beautiful species, flora and fauna. And I think at this time, when looking at this bill, I also pay tribute to our rangatira who work in this area as well too. The beautiful Dal Wihongi from Ngāpuhi, and also Dame Nāniko Minhinnick, Joe Harawira, who also work very, very closely across the conservation areas as well too. They also fight and struggle to maintain our heritage, which is what this bill will do for us. It is about kaitiakitanga, and it is about the physicality of our conservation. We hope that this bill will also bring about a retelling of our history. So I talk about our tā moko, ruau moko, and I talk about moko moko and tuatara. This bill should also bring forward into our education system the telling of these stories, why these taonga are so important to Māori, why they're so important to iwi, and why they are now very important to all New Zealanders. It is about the sharing of our natural history. It is also a telling of our history in stories across the centuries and across people. So while we debate this bill in its practicalities, in its legislative framework, where there are lots and lots of words, deep in the heart of this for us, for Māori, is intrinsically our taonga, our roots and threads which bind us to this land and to each other. And so this bill, going back to the legislation, is comprehensive. As introduced, it applied to 5 pieces of conservation legislation, which my colleagues have already talked about. On the recommendation of the Select Committee, it now also applies to the Marine Mammals Protection Act. The bill does not apply to Marine Reserves Act. A consistent approach to penalties across the laws administered by DOC will ensure appropriate and effective penalties, punishments and enforcement. I suppose on the one hand that we're lucky that it's about, penalties as in monetary repayment and also incarceration. Perhaps if we had have introduced pre-colonial penalties, it might be a whole lot more severe. I don't think we would want to revisit that. New Zealanders, we pride ourselves on our clean, green image. It's imperative then that we look after our natural environment, and this bill will assist in doing that. Vote conservation is now $444 million, almost double the $226 million in 2001-2002. We are investing in recovery programs for 35% more threatened species. Under this government, we have done that. We also intend to review... That's right, thank you. We also intend to review New Zealand's threatened species management framework. Under this government, we have done that. Our natural environment is a valuable resource we need to protect and preserve. I would like to congratulate my colleague, Jackie, for bringing this bill to the House, and I congratulate my colleagues and those on the Select Committee for supporting this bill. Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Kia ora, Mr Speaker.
I understand the next call is a split call. Moana Maki.